The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
It's not right. It's not right, I tell you. It's not right, bro. We have went days without eating. The four of us. It's not right.
Here we go again. Yes, we're all hungry. We're all hungry. It's bad enough that I have leprosy. But now I have to sit here with my leprosy and deal with you complaining about hunger. There's a famine in the land. We're the lowest on the totem pole.
I know, but it's not right. And I don't know about you, but I'm about to do something about it.
What do you suppose we do about it then?
See those tents over there? I'm about to ask the Syrians for food.
The Syrians? That's your plan?
Think about it. If we say, let's go into the city, there's a famine, and so we'll die. And if we just continue to stand out here, then we'll definitely die. But me, I'm about to mosey over there to those tents and ask the Syrians for some food. Because what's the worst they're gonna do? Kill me?
I guess you have a point. Either way we die, so what do we have to lose? Huh? Is the camp empty? Do my eyes deceive me? Why is no one here?
I don't know,
Wow,
but they make some good bread.
I guess your plan wasn't that bad after all.
Water, I love you so much.
Let's see what these tents have to offer. Okay, this one has food.
We got drinks over here.
Huh? You said that one has drinks? I'm coming over. Look at all this gold. Look at all these fine clothes. Man, this is the best idea you've had in years.
I told you this was a good idea. Woo!
Man, it's been a long day, but
Maybe I could get
I
someone
just
to kill
don't
my
feel
horses.
right. We're here in the empty camp enjoying all of the spoils of war, even though we didn't do anything, but should we keep this good news to ourselves? I mean,
It's four of
maybe
us.
we should go tell everyone else in the
Good.
city.
And keep it.
Let's go at once and report this to the royal palace.
Wait, what? Oh, I guess you're right.
Step into the captivating world of 2 Kings chapter 7, where a city on the brink of destruction finds unexpected hope. Join us as we follow the journey of four lepers who stumble upon an abandoned camp and discover unimaginable riches. This is a tale of courage, divine intervention, and miraculous provision. Will leave you in awe of God's power to turn the tides of despair into abundance. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts
Nakhaz Gate.
and Earl Roberts. Thank you everyone for tuning in this week. Definitely appreciate it. Thank you for the comments, the likes, the discussions during the week. We definitely appreciate it all. Weekly thought. So, I mean, this thought like popped into my mind this today, and it was something really, like, I guess, personal, and I was listening to a different podcast. But the thought was, just because you run from the truth doesn't change the truth. And this podcast I was listening to, it actually wasn't a religious podcast, it was actually a business one, but this guy was talking about how he was an atheist, right? But he is actually now a Christian. And he was actually saying, like, it's funny just hearing him talk because he's known for like other business acumen or whatever, right? But he was saying like, man, it actually disgusts me that I was an atheist. His words, not mine.
Mm.
And he said, like, looking back, like, how were there, like, he was saying, like, how was it like 10 years of my life that I didn't believe there was a God? How did I not believe there was someone like with a higher power looking out for me? Say, like, I just can't even fathom that I used to think that way. Which is so interesting because his brother's actually way more famous than him, and his brother's a Muslim. And he's saying, like, I don't really agree with that, but it was just interesting hearing his perspective. And he was going through the reason like why he is a Christian, and I'm like, yo, that's really powerful. And it's just interesting because it's like, and he was saying like when he was an atheist, like no one could have told him that there was a God. You know what I'm saying? And it just had me thinking about like how many times, I mean, granted, not as severe, but how many times like we just find ourselves like running from the truth, but it doesn't change the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like just because you run from it doesn't change the absolute fact. Like we have a lot of people in today's world saying, "Oh, this is my truth." But your truth, is your truth an opinion or is it the truth? Because at the end of the day, there's only one truth.
Right. Is truth subjective?
Exactly. So, I mean, like, that's just like my 2 cents. I mean, because we have a lot of people out there who might even hear stuff we talk about in the podcast or read the Bible and saying, it can't be true. But just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean it's not true. You know, go for it. I see you got something.
Yeah, no, I was juggling with two thoughts, wondering which one is more applicable to this. But you remember like a month ago, I was telling you about my friend that is now a member of the Hebrew Israelite community. And I'm just saying friend loosely, he and I went to college of the Bahamas together. I don't know, but I know him from like junior achievement, stuff like that, in the high school days. And he's really adamant about telling people that celebrating your birthday is a form of idolatry. Like it breaks the first commandment. Like when you take that day and you celebrate yourself, you are, putting a God before God. I disagree. I disagree with that. And I only saying that for the listeners. And the only biblical text he has is saying that Job sacrificed for his son, for his children, and this was right after they were saying that every birthday they had like a party in some sort, right? And he was saying, "Oh, Job was atoning for them because they celebrated their birthday." I just like, bro. I mean, if that's what you pull out of that, whatever. But on Twitter, he and I, we had a respectful conversation and we agreed to disagree, and that was that. And I see he like kind of upped the ante. He kept pushing this until like other Bahamians start to engage with him. Like Christian Adventists, like a few people in my circle start to engage with him, and nobody is agreeing with him, and they're frustrated. And when I was reading the thought process, the only question I wanted to ask him is, bro, is there any possibility that you are wrong or that you are misinterpreting this? Is there any possibility at all? You know what I'm saying? And my assumption is that he would say, no, there's no possibility. You know what I'm saying? And then that should tell you everything you need to know, because I have another friend, a colleague of mine, we studied accounting together. Like you go on Facebook and you say something about Jesus. If it's your post, he'd leave it alone. But if you talk about Jesus under someone else, like a mutual friend's post, he'll attack it. Oh, the God who you think you serve, this and that and the third, like, and it's negative. And I'm like, bro, he was my boy, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we used to be chilling. We had all of our majority classes together, but like certain people, like, their ideas, bro, it's like it's bulletproof in their mind, and they don't live in a world where they could possibly be wrong. Like I believe that Jesus is God. I fully convinced. You know what I'm saying? But when we talking Bible, bro, I can't have a debate with you without thinking, bro, it's a chance I might be misinterpreting scripture, unless it's something like saying like, do not have any, I go on easy, do not have any gods before me, or remember the Sabbath day. You know what I'm saying? Like these things, I personally, bro, I think you can't misconstrue what it means to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Like I think that's like pretty straightforward. You know what I'm saying?
With the person you ask.
True. because, some people go to Deuteronomy version, but I don't think it say remember it. I think it just says keep the Sabbath holy, like it's stuff like that. And they're like, oh, bro, you know what I mean? But whatevs. But I think, bro, it's dangerous territory when you live in a world or when you're in an environment that you feel like I know it all. You know what I'm saying? And I can't be wrong. That's when I feel like that's when world could be over your eyes so much, and you just will not be able to be saved without humbling yourself or, by the grace of God, to be honest. Because when you say, bro, this is my truth, and in my world, I am right 100% of the time, but nobody could get through to you, bro. Exactly. Nobody could. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So definitely something to be mindful of.
Yeah, man. Like, and it's interesting too, because like how, to your point, like even most people who are Christians, I mean, we know it's faith, right? And as resolved as our faith is, we still say, okay, I could be misinterpreting some parts of it. Like I might be taking some things a little out of context, but we still like, we're 100%, I wouldn't say 100%, but we're reasonably sure what we believe in. You talk to some other people from like these other beliefs, face like 100%, this is what it is. You're like, how you get to 100%? Because nothing but God is 100%. But that's really what you find. Like you actually have a conversation with like an atheist, agnostics, not too much, but it's really like, bro, this is it. This is it. Definitely, and you're like, yeah. How, what? Like we get up this conversation, but if you ain't even open to you being wrong, because I open to me being wrong, right? Like thing is, I fully confident, right? But I open to like me being a little bit wrong on certain things, right? But you saying you 100%, and that's how some Christians is caught slipping. Because they take some of their doubt and unbelief and saying, since I can't fully 100% believe in something, this can't be real, this can't be true. Mm-hmm. Whereas the whole truth is based on faith. And to anybody else listening out there too, is like, everything else based on faith too. Like, why plus 2 plus 2 is 4? Like,
I hear somebody was breaking down a math equation, right? And it was like 0 plus 2. And he really was trying to say it was something other than 2. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember what he was saying. It was an octa, and people were sharing it saying, no, he's actually right. And I was like, bro, okay, dog. Okay, bro.
Bro, like I've taken a bunch of math in college, bro. When we literally say, okay, this whole equation, we just could call it a U. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, because this U is going to cancel, so we don't even need this. And this is a whole string of text. Mm-hmm. That's not me sitting in class like, I believe you.
Yeah.
Don't you know what I'm saying?
If you say that's how it works,
bro, okay, yeah. We going through a whole mathematical proof. Are you telling me, bro, like a string of like 20 characters about to like just get canceled at some point later down in the future? So we just gonna call it a U right now to save space on the board. Mm-hmm. Surely it did cancel at the end at some point, but you like, really? Anyway.
Everything is faith, bro. Like when I listen to, like if I'm listening to people who talk about like end time prophecy, like amazing discoveries, right? YouTube in the algorithm would send me Muslim brother. He used to be with the entrepreneur guys. He have like anyway, they talk about the cosmos and unlocking your third eye and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Bro, that
I know you mean. I don't know if we should say it, but I know right, you mean.
Yeah, no, we ain't gotta say it. But your boy, right? Mm-hmm. Boy, YouTube without fail, bro, recommends his video. And I'm like, bro, I don't know if you realize how vastly different these two things are.
Yeah.
And so, but all I say is, like, I know if I was to talk to him, he seemed like a respectful brother. But I would have to accept that he has faith in what he believes. You know what I'm saying? I've heard people, it's a scare, by TikTok is you could go down a scary rabbit hole of conspiracy theories that make absolutely no sense, bro. People saying, black people come from this planet. We was actually green, but when we come to this atmosphere, our color adapt and people are dead serious, bro. I wish I was making this up, bro. It's so many things to have faith in, and people pick and choose. They pick and choose what they want to have faith in. When they talk about the state of the dead, people pick and choose, not realizing that, bro, no human being can verify what happens after death, bro. So you have to have faith in whatever you believe, whatever you believe the state of the dead is, you have to have faith in that.
Mm-hmm.
My faith is based on what the Bible says happens, but some people, they faith on Ghostbusters or, you know what I mean? Some type of fictional scenario.
Man, so I guess one last thing before we go to our actual episode today, right? I remember in college, I took a class called Real Religion. I mean, you know about this, just because me, I was just always interested. I mean, my whole thing is like, I want to know what other religions believe to a point, so I can at least have a conversation with them on common ground before I just talk about Christianity. I feel like a lot of Christians just take it back and say, oh, this is my God. I don't care about what you believe in. Like, I always want to have what are the commonalities so I could kind of know what y'all already believe and what y'all already coming into this conversation with, which a lot of people actually do about Christianity, but people just don't want to have that conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And my class was a lot different. Like, it was a lot of actual commonalities that I learned and about the different religions. Either way, that's not the point of what I'm trying to say. It was at the end of the class, right? We had like a interview or something. Like, it was like a question with he paired us up and, just bouncing off ideas between what you thought about the class and different stuff. And like one of the last questions was like, anyway, I can't remember what the question was, but I just remember my response. My response was, man, suppose we got it wrong as Christians, right? I say that would be a fair, but I say, for so far, everything I've read to me feels to be true. And I rather just stick with this one. It seems to be the most, don't want to say, but the most legit. I don't gotta be scared. The most legit one, right? And I say, I rather ride this out and see what happens in the end, because I rather be wrong in this one than and ride out the end than to be right in something else. Anyway, all I was saying was like, I rather stick to Christianity because I rather be wrong. Either way, yeah.
Because of the lifetime because of the lifestyle that Christianity promotes. It's like, I'd rather be wrong, but be a good person, you know what I'm saying, than to take my chances in certain.
My thing was, I'd rather be right in this one than to be wrong and get left in the eternity without being in heaven. It was not. Mm-hmm. Without being with Christ. Anyway, that was a long point to get to that point, but yeah, man, like, again, the whole point is to take faith to, no matter what you believe in. And at the end of the day, just because you don't want to accept the truth doesn't change the truth. And it's just something we just got to ponder on. And when you do feel an aversion to the truth or to something you read in the Bible, that's when you really have to check your heart and see why you feel that way. Because that's the enemy trying to tell you something, and you need to look within and talk to the Holy Spirit and talk to God and try to work on whatever is making you feel a certain way with something you read. And we all have to go through it. Like, I still read the Bible sometimes now, and I'm just like, yeah. Got hit with some sandpaper when I read that. That one hurt.
Yeah, for real, bro.
But you still gotta, it's all take it with love, and just stuff we have to work on, because none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect, and I definitely don't claim to be perfect, but I am a work in progress. He is still working on me.
Amen.
Take it back to song service days.
Yeah.
But anyway, transitioning now, we are in 2 Kings chapter 7. We are going to start off from verse 3, but as a recap of last week. Last week we we went through several miracles again, but at the end we saw that Samaria was besieged by the Syrians, by Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, besieged the city. And we saw at the end that Jehoram was in distraught because he was essentially at a crisis. Like, a woman, like, things were so bad, the city had no food, people were starting to cannibalism. And as he was walking the city walls, he saw two women who were essentially quarreling because they made a pact. One woman, they both said, okay, you kill your son today and we'll eat him, and then tomorrow you kill your son and we'll eat your son tomorrow for food. And so on the first day, the woman killed her son and they sure did eat. Now it came to day 2, and the second woman said, bro, I'm not killing my son. And now she tried to bring the case to the king, and the king ripped his clothes and was in mourning, because it's like, again, check out last episode, but like, as a king, what do you do in a circumstance? Do I order the next woman to kill her son? Do I Like, what
Why
do I
punish
do?
her for the cannibalism? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause it's still Israel. Like,
Yeah. So the king and all this, he ended up blaming Elisha, saying that this is like all this is Elisha's fault. Instead, not blaming himself, saying
he just like his mommy.
real,
Just
real, real. So and now we get now in 2 Kings 7, we're about to, the city's still besieged. They're still in this weird, sinful state, and this is where we're going to pick up the story. In verse 3, now there were 4 men with leprosy at the entrance to the city gate, and they said to each other, "Why stay here until we die?" Give me 1 second.
Well, another thing I wanted to say,
Go for it.
But the women, you didn't think it was what we call a psych, or like you was getting swindled when they say you go first. You know what I mean? Like we can eat our children, but I must go first. No, bro. How you let her talk you into that one, bro?
Well, God forbid, if you're in a predicament, you gotta say no. We gotta vote. Anyway, I don't even want to talk about this.
She didn't want to stop. She didn't want to stop.
They didn't want to stop, babe, but at the same time, too, bro, I'm not killing my son.
Fair dog. And then eat. Oh man, that's crazy.
I'm not going to kill my son. And then the second of all, you talk about if you want to kill your son, we killing him at the same time. I still got to kill my son. I can't. I just don't think I can bring myself to kill my son, bro.
But it shows how desperate they are, and like how
it definitely does.
Without the power of the Holy Spirit, like during them times, because
bro, without God, nations will perish, bro.
Right, but another thing I think into, right, there is also the possibility that the other lady went first, and while doing so, it felt wrong, and was like, I can't go through with this, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like she might have had all intentions to do it, but then the actual the practicality of it was like, it's too much. Because now you ain't thinking with your stomach no more, because you're all that eat. You see what I said? So like, you have clarity.
And you have enough substance to last at least 7 more days.
For real.
Well, at least 40. How long we can last without food again? I can't remember.
Without food?
Yeah.
I Googled it the other day, bro. They were saying like 3 to 4 weeks without food.
Yeah.
Because I did not, but I always thought when Jesus fast for 40 days, that was like with the help of like the Holy Spirit or something, bro. I was reading an article of an NFL player who claimed to have fasted for 40 days, right? Former NFL player. He was like one of them big defensive dudes. He got real slim. I was like, bro, cap. I was like, that's a lie. He would die. You know what I mean? Until I Google it, and Google was saying somewhere around 3 to 4 weeks, no food, just water and thing. I was like, oh, okay. Just water, I should say. Just water alone. I was like, I didn't know that. Did not know that. But.
So yeah, it's interesting. Like that's, to your point, just shows the state of Israel. Like if it's anything we take from the story, psych, not psych, how sick it is, no matter what. It's just like this is the state of the Israelite nation at this point in time, where they are resorting to cannibalism. Think about this. This is a nation before they came to Canaan that God was willingly supplying with manna from heaven. This is the same nation that even Elijah was just being fed by raven. Like even throughout the famine, like God still was provided for this nation. And right now, to not even have food for this length of time. Like think about Jacob days, bro. There was going to be a famine in Canaan. All right, don't worry. I over and abundantly supplied food for y'all in Egypt. Just go to Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a nation that God always provides for, but y'all have strayed so far away from God because y'all wanted to worship the other gods, the gods around you. Now God remove His presence. Now y'all getting what the other gods, what these other nations get. There's no food because there's no God to supply them with food. They eating each other. But this is what you guys wanted. It's like, and you guys didn't outwardly said it, but like you said it with your actions. Everything you indicate, everything you did up to this point, got you to where you are right now, and that's fighting over whose son we are going to eat tonight. Like, let that sink in. Like, that's just, man. Woo,
you know, one thing that is so valuable about the Bible. The Bible teaches me human nature.
Mercy.
And I do not take it lightly. So if I see a bunch of people hate their brother so much, they can throw him in a pit and sell him. I know human beings are not above doing that. You understand what I say? Like for real, bro. Like
that's real, bro. Keep going, keep going, keep
no,
going.
for real, bro. Like if I see, um, I can go back to this story. If I see someone willing to sacrifice their own child and eat them because they starving, that make me believe that in the same scenario, people gonna have the same type of thoughts, if not worse, because we ain't know it all. You know what I'm saying? I think this only true. I think because there's right. We don't even know how long the farmer was, bro. Every day is a story that could have been written down, but I believe this was essentially documented because this was prophesied from the book of Deuteronomy 28. You know what I'm saying? That these type of things would happen if you all choose to worship idols. And so, furthermore, I know that kings like Jehoram, like Jezebel, kings, queens, the leaders of the nations and the leaders of the world, when faced in adverse situations of the world, like famines or tornadoes and earthquakes and just natural disasters, when faced with natural disasters, I do not put it past the kings of the world, meaning the leaders, the presidents, the whatever, to turn around and say, hey, it's the person who's serving God the right way that is to blame. Elisha, hey, he's to blame, right? Elijah, he is to blame. Jezebel was like, bro, may God deal with me ever so severely if I don't deal with Elijah in like the next 3 days or so. I can't remember the exact time frame. It didn't happen, but
man, like that's a point we need to touch on more. But I don't think we can do it here. But like that's definitely a point because it's going to come with like the Bible is. It's funny, like the Bible is giving a playbook on what happened, what's going to happen, and it does it multiple times in multiple different ways. It's just up to you to put the dots together, right? How many times has the world so far, even up to this point, have been going bad, even more so recently, that the person who got blamed was the one who was doing the right thing, but was getting blamed for everything bad that was happening.
It's crazy, bro. Remember the Sanhedrin Council? They put Jesus to death. They say, man, one man have to die to save the whole nation because they figure, bro, we gonna revolt. The followers of Christ gonna revolt, and the Romans gonna destroy our city. So we gotta put this man to death. So they basically Jesus healing people, bro. Like I don't see how much of I don't see anyone being more of an asset to society than the man who preaching people to stop sinning, which is the laws of Jews, you know what I'm saying? And he also healing people, bringing people back to life, exorcising demons out of them. But that's the y'all saying, oh, you gotta kill him. You know, he's the reason, but he can cause her. You know, and then but 30 years later, it happened anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like so y'all plan failed. Is the point I'm making. You know?
Yeah, that's just wild. All right. Anyway, we keep on going. We keep on going. So we see the leper said, "Why are we sitting here until we die? If we say we will enter the city, the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. If we sit here, we die also. Now, therefore, come, let us surrender to the army of the Syrians. If they keep us alive, we shall live, and if they kill us, we shall only die."
It is what it is. You know what you tell me off, Mike, bro? When you at rock bottom, only one place to go. That's up. That's up.
I mean, like to paint the picture for everyone else, right? Like me and guys actually extended a conversation about this outside of the pod. I think it's actually just good to bring up here. But because of the Israelite laws, for better or for worse, you know, some of the sick people like lepers, they couldn't really be a part of society because that would make everyone who comes in contact with them unclean. Let alone leprosy is a contagious disease, right? But on the flip side, we saw like 2 episodes ago, however many episodes ago with Naaman, that the Syrians were around him. He came there with his army, even though he had leprosy. He still had servants attending him, even though he had leprosy. But in the Israelite household, they exiled him. So now these lepers, who some argue is actually Gehazi and his sons, because other chapters are coming back later. This chapter doesn't explicitly say that, but other chapters kind of indicate this might be Gehazi. Anyway, neither here nor there, right? But these lepers came to the conclusion like, yo, we outside the city and there's a famine happening, so there's no food. Logically speaking, if the famine stops today, we will be the last people to get food because we're at the bottom of society right now.
That's true.
So they literally said, yo, We can't go to the city, ain't no food there. We could die if we go to the city. We at the city gates, stay in here, and we definitely ain't getting no food, so we could die. It's better for us to actually go to our enemies. Let that sink in. It's better for us to go to our enemies. And if they don't kill us, then we probably can live and get some food. But guess what, guys? If they kill us, we back to square one, and that's us dying.
The same fate, because we have a mortal illness. So, you understand what I'm saying? So we could die of leprosy or starvation anyway, so it come in.
So then let me say, you know what? To your point, the only place we can go is up. So we might as well just try. We might as well just try.
They had a little bit of leverage, bro, because it's like, as lepers, if you take them captive, the Israelites, like, you don't have much bargaining chips with lepers because lepers can't be within city limits because you're
doing them a favor.
You're doing us a favor, bro, because we don't want, they had this by leper. Like when the more we go through these stories about lepers, the more you have lepers, you realize they someplace that is far off, or like outside of the city, or like somewhere that's not in traffic, like with a lot of foot traffic, because they don't want to spread it, but then they also don't want to make anyone's ceremony clean. So these lepers, like, bro, but the most they probably could do is kill us, but like they ain't gonna torch us and thing, bro, because they probably ain't gonna get sick as well. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I mean, it is what it is, bro. We ain't got nothing to lose right now, bro.
And yeah. And so again, the Syrians was besieged the city. So the Syrian camps were like, out surrounding the city. I don't even know how much miles away or whatever, but the Syrians were camped around the city. So saying, let's just go to them. And so we see in verse 5, and they rose at twilight to go up to the camp of the Syrians. And when they had come to the outskirts of the Syrians' camp, to their surprise, no one was there. For the Lord had caused the army of the Syrians to hear the noise of chariots and the noise of horses and the noise of a great army. So they said to one another, look, the king of Israel had hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to attack us. Therefore they arose and fled at twilight, and they left the camp intact, their tents, their horses, and their donkeys, and fled for their lives. And when the lepers came to the outskirts of the camp, they went into one tent and ate and drank, and carried it for the silver and gold and the clothing, and went and hidden them. Then they came back and entered another tent, and carried some from there also, and went and hidden it. Then they said to one another, we are not doing right. This is a day for good news, and we remain silent. If we wait until morning light, the punishment will come on us. Now, therefore, come, let us tell the king's household.
But this could be a movie, bro. This could be like a short film, if anything, bro. The lepers, they go on there for food. They go on there to try to negotiate getting food. They end up seeing empty. They get their food. Then they go on shopping. They go on.
But let's even think about it too, right? Like,
yeah.
Bro, these are rejects of society, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But think about it. The rejects of societies were the first one to see God's miracle.
They got the pick of it. Is it the pick of it? Is that a good thing?
That's what people say, but
it don't sound like a good thing. They get the cream of the crop. They get the cream of the crop.
Because he's like, he just switched the whole thing. Yeah. But think about the rejects of society were the first ones to experience God's miracle. Mm. And then it's so interesting, right? Like they was like, all right, guys, we have such a good thing right there. As we say in the Bahamas, God ain't gonna be pleased.
No, he ain't gonna be pleased. I ain't gonna lie.
With us just keeping this to ourselves. Mm-hmm. We should go let everyone else know. And it's so interesting. I know I say this probably every time, right? But it's so interesting. Everyone in the city, bro, we just was talking about what's happening in the city, bro. They eating themselves in the city.
Yeah.
God doing a miracle out there on their behalf, and they don't even know. Because they're so concerned about what's happening inside the city, bro. You know what I'm saying? And God already win the battle for them outside, but they don't even know what's happening now. The rejects of society, who y'all kick out the city, gotta be the ones to come back and tell y'all the good news, because y'all ain't in contact with me, so y'all didn't even know the blessings I do on y'all behalf when y'all don't even deserve it. And y'all so out of touch with me, the people y'all kick out have to come back and tell y'all the good news.
They gone shopping, they done get their gold,
You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because like they would have been the last ones to eat. They're the first ones to eat right now.
The first ones, they
had multiple options, bro.
That's what I saying. They could pick. Oh, let me go on this one. Oh, this one used to be fresh, and this 10. Let me get this rope. Let me get this, and then they start to feel it like, this ain't right, man. We eating good, but there's people in the city who starving, man. We can't do this, man.
Wait, Johnny just eat his son last night, Dread. I hear the stories.
I hear the stories, man. And you over here eating lentil stew? Still hot?
Let that one go.
But it's funny, though. Whenever you watch a Bible show, they're usually just eating bread, bro, like grapes and like apples a day, bro. I'd be like, bro, was that like life back then,
Might have been, man. Might have been. Like, so now they say in verse 10, so they went and called to the gatekeepers of the city and told them, saying, we went to the Syrian camp and surprisingly no one was there, not a human sound, only horses and donkeys tied and the tents intact. And the gatekeepers called out and they told to the king's household inside. It's so interesting, but they still didn't even let them back inside the city.
Nope.
Like, it's so interesting, like you're just reading between the lines, bro. So the king arose in the night and said to his servants, let me now tell you what the Syrians have done to us. They know we are hungry. Therefore, they have gone out of the camp and hide themselves in the field, saying, when they come out of the city, we shall catch them alive and get into the city. And one of his servants answered and said, please let several men take 5 of the remaining horses which are left in the city. Look, they may either become like a multitude of Israel that are left in it, or indeed, I say they may become like the multitude of Israel left from those who are consumed. So let us send them and see. In other words, bro, we literally don't have nothing to lose by staying inside the city, bro.
Yeah. Everybody realized that.
You so trapped in fear, you can't even accept God's miracle blessing, what he done do on your behalf.
But you don't see this, man. See, like at face value, I can't cry shame on him because you want to be safe and sorry. Like every time he come in contact, every time we hear from him, the last 2 times we've heard from him in relation to the Syrian army, he always think there's some type of like multi-layered trap. Oh, he trying to mock me. That's why he asked to see the prophet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was so distraught by that, he was tearing his clothes, and Elisha had to come and say, yo, I can deal with it, bro. Like, big thing. Now this, he said and say, now the lepers are ready. They're ready eating. They feeling good. And he looking at it like, boy, it's too good to be true. Now I don't give him wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? But you can see this 2 times in a row when it comes to the Syrians. But the reason why there's a pattern of a lack of faith is because the time before that, when we hear from this king, assuming this was the same king, because the Bible don't say any change in kings in Israel during this time. The time before that was when they were going to fight against Moab. And he tells Elisha, stand there big and bold and say, yeah, God brought me, the king of Edom, and the king of Judah together just to kill us. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, the king of Judah was saying, let's go to Elisha for a word. And you telling Elisha the word. You telling him, yeah, this is what God bring us for. You know what I mean? Like, you can see this man as a pessimist in some type of way. Like, the last 3 times we've heard of him, it's been in a pessimistic tone, I should say. And so, yeah, man, he just is a skeptic.
Right? And again, a lot of skepticism comes from him not even having a connection with God for himself. You know what I'm saying? Because if you had a connection with God, all of this would have been avoided. Let's just acknowledge that for what it is. But even if, let's say, you had to go through it, but we had a connection with God, like when Joshua realized, bro, we just get wrecked by AI the first time. Like, what happened? Oh, let me go to God. God said, oh, yeah, now you know why you lose the battle. Now I can tell you what to do and we can fix the problem.
Yep, let's get it.
God did this out of his own miraculous power. And he didn't tell nobody because you all didn't have no connection with him at all right now. You know what I'm saying?
I can tell who listening. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's just what I find powerful about it is like God's still doing all these things on the behalf of Israel, even when it's very easy to say they don't deserve it. They don't. They just don't. And it begs the question, how much of the blessings and stuff we deserve in our life, right? But that's a conversation we could probably have at the end of the podcast, right? But it's like God just so full of grace, like all the characteristics that, Jonah said about him, Moses said about him, you see it. You know what I'm saying? Like slow to anger, like, bro, like he's a good parent. Model your children, but still have their best interest at heart.
Very true.
You know what I'm saying? Like y'all in punishment, but I can't not
abandon you.
It's like in my nature, like I just can't stop, like let you leave you go on your own. Like you need to learn the lesson, but my goodness, man. But no, like it's powerful. It's powerful. But again, the king, God would never do this alone, is what I guess was what the point I was really trying to make. He would never do this alone. That the king should have been in cahoots with Elisha or with God himself. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be the one leading these people. But since you're not, now you have God miraculous blessings, and you don't even have the discernment to know if it's truly from God or not. Because right now you literally relying on your own thoughts and not the word of God. You leaning onto your own understanding because that's all you have right now, because you can't even trust. You can't trust God. You don't even know who God is to trust him for real. Which verse was I on?
I know, but why you find that? I was just thinking.
Go for it.
About Naaman, So the Bible say that that Naaman was an honorable man, and it was because the Lord had granted him victory, in the Syrian army. And I wonder about that, because I would like to deduce that Naaman was a righteous man. The only thing he was missing was an encounter with God. I feel like that's why that happened. But now that he has this encounter with God, I wonder if the Syrians will no longer be victorious, because this was a part of a plan for God to save Naaman. I ordered your steps because I needed to get your attention. I even allowed you to be victorious against my firstborn, which is Israel, not one because you worthy, but because they was being unrighteous. You know what I'm saying? They bring these curses on themselves. And now that I've achieved this goal, and now that I have you locked in, in our relationship, now we could get back to normal, where the Syrians should not be like ruling over the Israelites unless the Israelites forfeit their own blessings. I wonder about that, because we see a couple when they introduce Naaman, they talk about a captive from Israel, like the young lady, she was a captive, and we see they was pretty bold to go up to Israel, and Israel didn't see him like, boy, what you doing? You freaking out? I'd come and deal with y'all right now. They was like, no, we'll find Elisha. You know what I'm saying? We'll go after him. Like they was pretty emboldened.
I wonder if there's a connection between like Paul and Naaman, right? Like, they both had an encounter with God and was converted. Paul was on the road to Damascus. Naaman was from Damascus.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And wanted to go back to Damascus to go in the waters. You know what I'm saying? Might be a little connection there. You never know.
It's something, bro. It's something. Because I was like, Damascus. I was like, oh, okay, Damascus. Like, okay. I guess that was Syrian territory.
Yeah, it's interesting because as soon as you were saying it, I was like, yeah, Naaman was waiting on this Paul experience. And I say, well, technically, Naaman had the experience first in a different way.
Right, Paul had the Naaman experience.
when you really think about it. Like the Bible keeps on repeating itself in different themes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I was in verse 14. So now we see the Israelites. They took 2 chariots with horses, and the king sent them in the direction of the Syrian army, saying, Go and see. And they went after them to the Jordan, and indeed all the road was full of garments and weapons which the Syrians had thrown away in their haste.
Wow.
So the messengers returned and told the king. Then the people went out and plundered the tents of the Syrians. So a seah of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. And this is a fulfillment of Elisha's word, because just the day before, when they was complaining to Elisha about the famine, he told them, yeah, okay, so by tomorrow you guys gonna have food. And the guy was like, what do you mean by tomorrow we gonna have food? Especially for like this low of a price. But so said, so done.
He was saying, Elijah, but even if God was to make it rain right now, that's impossible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes it feel like what you were saying was very logical, bro. You know, so like to me, I was be a little torn, like, bro, like you getting punished for being logical, you know, but you being logical at the expense of you actually calling Elijah a liar, or calling God a liar, or saying that God can't make it happen in the name of logic. Like logic get you to a point where you saying God is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And you can see plainly in the story, your logic don't mean nothing when it comes, because like miracles are illogical. A lot of things with faith, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things with this experience, it's not gonna have no logic to it, bro, because logic is based on data, like history, stuff that has happened. And if this is something brand new that God is doing, your logic, it means nothing, you know?
Like even a better way to say it is like faith comes in believing in God's infinite power to do things beyond our comprehension and understanding. Because when you look back at how it happened, everything does happen in a logical manner because God is a God of order and operation. It's just that you can't the thing is like you can't see the outcome because what's going to happen is outside of your way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because to this thing, Elijah said by tomorrow this time, so this is going to happen to God. It's like, bro, how? Right? He didn't expect the Syrians to not just stop besieging the city, they left everything and ran. But so it's like, logically that doesn't make sense, but we look back and like, oh, this is how we got to this point. But you never could have fathomed that happening. But God's saying, my ways are not your ways. Your way of thinking is limited. You're thinking inside this box. My friend, I'm thinking in like 20 different dimensions. Right. You can't possibly begin to think of how I am going to accomplish what I say I'm going to accomplish. Because see, us as humans, bro, we have this like the king said, go and see. Go and see ain't having faith. They already tell you what happened, but you still need to go and see it. Right. Because you can't believe it happened. You know what I'm saying? That ain't faith. You know what I'm saying? Faith is we talk about faith so much, right? But like go back to Hebrews 11. Faith is the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for. You know what I'm saying? Like these are the things you can't fathom how it's going to happen. But God's saying, guess what, buddy? You have that faith in me. I am going to make it happen. Through all of your scientific, whatever else you believe in, it's going to happen through those means. But the way it is going to happen is what you can't believe, is what you can't rationalize. Mm-hmm. So like that's where it comes. Like that's where it really comes out for us. Like a lot of people saying, "Oh, that can't possibly happen." God said, "What you mean it can't possibly happen?" Like the famous question in the Bible, who would get asked to, "Can these bones live?" I think it was Ezekiel. Yeah, it was one of these prophets. Yeah. Can these bones live? And what's the logical answer, Kazi?
Logical answer is no.
Nope. Nope. But God said, what you mean? Like, but oh my. So we see the Elijah word came through. Now in verse 17, now the king had appointed the officer on those who had leaned to have the charge of the gate. But the people trampled him at the gate and he died, just as the man of God had said, who spoke when the king came down to him. I mean to laugh. So it just happened as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 seahs of barley for a shekel and a seah of fine flour for a shekel shall be sold tomorrow by the time of the gate of Samaria. Then that officer had answered the man of God and said, now look, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, could such a thing be? Mm. And he had said, in fact, you shall see it with your own eyes, but ye shall not eat. And it happened. So it happened to him, for the people trampled him at the gate and he died. So he saw it happen. You know what I'm saying? You saw it happen, but you didn't even get a chance to eat the food, eh? Mercy. So I could just read the beginning part of verse chapter 8, since it's still kind of in the same story. Then Elijah spoke to the woman whose son he had restored to life, saying, arise and go, you and your household, and stay wherever you can, for the Lord has called for a famine. And furthermore, it will come upon the land for 7 years. So the woman arose and did according to the saying of the man of God. And she went with her household and dwelt in the land of the Philistines for 7 years. And it came to pass at the end of 7 years, the woman returned from the land of the Philistines, and she went to make an appeal to the king for her house and for her land. Then the king talked with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, tell me, please, all the great things Elisha has done. Now it happened as he was telling the king how he had restored the dead to life, that there was a woman whose son he had restored to life, appealing to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, my lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son whom Elisha had restored to life. And when the king asked the woman, she told him. So the king appointed an officer for her, saying, restore all that was hers and all the proceeds of the field from the day that she left the land until now. So we see this, the farm moves for 7 years. Like, that's pretty wild.
But you know what I just realized, Earl?
Mm-hmm.
Verse 18 of 2 Kings chapter 7.
Yeah.
So it happened just as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 seahs of barley for a shekel and a seah of fine flour for a shekel shall be sold tomorrow about this time in the gate of Samaria. So it happened just as the man of God had spoken to the king. Why this officer open his mouth? Wait, you going out
your way.
You going out your way to tell Elisha? Wait, even if God was to open up the windows of heaven, could such a thing be?
It's wild, right? You step into a conversation between two men anointed by God. Now, one ain't doing his job, right? But you're talking between two men anointed by God, and you feel like you belong in this conversation, so you interject yourself, and in interjecting yourself, you bring death upon your own self, right?
Right. What? What?
I was just saying, why are you talking?
That's what I say, right? Then that make it a little more wild to me, bro. Because, like, you know, I mean, as kids, they used to say this is an A and B conversation, right? Truly, bro. Right. But truly, bro, this wasn't for you. This is between the king and the man of God, Elisha. He was telling the king that. But you jump in hating. You see what I saying? Sometimes you got to be quiet, Dread. Sometimes you got to zip it, Dread.
Because that's the moral of this story.
Because I was reading this, I was like, but why are they repeating this thing? Because they just say he died, right? And then it say, just how the man of God said, but he responded by saying this, and I'm like, but why are they repeating this? I was like, but what am I missing? I was like, oh yeah, they reminding us that he was talking to the king, and then he responded by saying that, you know.
That's something good to point out though, because like we didn't point out earlier. So that's really good to point out. Like, and he kept his mouth shut. He would have been eating some good food.
Yeah, dog. He could have buy some flour for a shekel that day, but sadly, but we see Gehazi is still around. And that made me think Gehazi wasn't one of the lepers too, because I see they name him in the next one, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. Like again, I say some people say it might have been him. Some people say it ain't. Like we don't have enough information to say. Like I honestly have no clue. Yeah. And it's one of those things where you could see, like I could see y'all get to the conclusion, but it ain't as concrete to say for a fact like this was them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't one of those hard facts where like, all right, cool. Like we could cross-reference over here and like Chronicles or something saying like, oh yeah, this was Gehazi. Like you can't. It's one of those things. You're just like, if someone says it's him, I'll let it go. If someone say it ain't him, I have no skin in this fight.
Right, because to me, I like it better with it not being him, because it reinforces the idea that there were, in fact, lepers in Israel while Naaman was healed, you know, and that was when Jesus was saying how a prophet isn't accepted in his own hometown, you know. I think Elisha is an Israelite. You know,
I think so. I think it have to be. I don't know. I am fairly confident he is an Israelite.
Right.
Without going back and checking the tribe.
I don't mean Israelite. I mean from the northern kingdom. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. For some reason, I say Israel and then but that's how the Bible is saying too, though, because like they say Israel when they talk about like the 10 tribes, and then they say Judah. You know what I mean? But I talking about EBM being from the Northern Kingdom. That's my. I think I don't know, but anyway, he is okay. Just let's go with the layman's. He's an Israelite, right? But he ain't accepted like that. You understand what I say? Like the things he's saying, people challenging it. The king challenged him last time they speak and things like that, you know? But it's like, bro, this is a proven prophet. Proven, bro. This ain't like the prophets of today would we be seeing where people monetize.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Don't get me started.
but I don't know, I just don't know how people today don't realize that the quote unquote prophets that they are calling that are glorified fortune tellers, bro. I see that, you know what I mean? Like for real, bro. How do y'all not know? This is literally Miss Cleo going Christian. You know what I mean? Like y'all don't, like let's look at what the prophet was doing back then. They giving direct messages. It ain't vague. Oh, I see an earthquake coming. You know what I mean? Now within the next 12 months, when someone have an earthquake. I told y'all.
Elisha said by tomorrow this time. So he's saying date, exact prices, and what's going to happen like in the exact time of crisis.
Right.
Wasn't too much guessing. It wasn't too much, no vague prophecy. It was like, and then we see he told her like Shunammite woman, hey, guess what? A famine is coming. And it ain't just going to be a small farm. It's going to be a famine for 7 years. So you should leave. You should leave. And again, it's so interesting, man. I'm just going to find the next word, right? But to me, you have to leave the city of God to go to your enemy city because you will have a better refuge in your enemy city than in your own city because the famine is coming because of what you guys are doing there. Like, that's just, man.
It's a lot, bro. It's a lot. And it don't get better, bro. Like when the book of Judges end, it was a little bit of, what's gonna happen next? You know what I mean? What's gonna happen next?
You were very disturbed by those last stories.
Yeah. But at the end, it was like, okay, we talking king. Israel had no king, you know what I'm saying? And you could see it was a cliffhanger. When we get to the end of 2 Kings, bro, it's like, bro.
When you thought it couldn't get any worse.
Real talk, bro.
Here we are.
And this is just the beginning of their downward spiral. And when you see the plagues come around, that's a direct sign that this has happened. Not the plagues, the curses. When you see the curses come about, Deuteronomy 28, this is a direct sign that you all have disobeyed God and chosen idols over serving the Most High God. It's plain as day. Or y'all could be running on chasing you. You know, your enemies can take you into these places, this and that and the third. So now we didn't get to that part yet in 2 Kings, but we see the famines, you know what I'm saying? We see the hardship that they facing. But back to Judges, they wasn't really facing these type of hardships, but they was facing like feuds among their enemies and stuff like that. Their enemies coming to capture them. And what they do? They repent, they cry out to God. And what God do? God send a deliverer. He sent a judge. He sent somebody to clean up the city, you know, to save them. He sent a saving grace. But even now, we see where these leaders, they have a leader, first of all, because Israel didn't really have leaders at the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why these judges were getting risen up, you know? And they have these leaders, and these leaders, they worshiping, but it can get to a point where it's like, either y'all worshiping idols or y'all following after Jeroboam. So more idols, you know what I mean? But y'all just worshiping anything but the Most High God. And now y'all are getting the consequences of it. God is still showing y'all a hand of grace, bro. God's still showing y'all grace in the midst of all of this. You know what I'm saying? But this ain't a come to Jesus moment, come to God moment for them. This just a, oh, thank God. Oh, we get something and back to the business as usual. You know, and that's pretty sad to see the state of the Israelites now back to the human element of it. Some people, they go through the fire, they go through the punishment, and they don't want to get closer to God. They don't want to correct the issue. They just want to not be punished anymore. That's why God had to shut the door of the ark, because a lot of people was trying to get in that ark, I assume, but not because they was repenting of their sins, but because they just didn't want to be punished anymore. They didn't want the prospect of drowning or the prospect of dying anymore, you know? And that's why some people wonder why a loving God would have people that is going to the lake of fire. You know, the book of Revelation say the lake of eternal fire was made for the devil and his enemies. You know, I'm sorry, the devil and his angels. You know, Christians would be his enemies, you know. But anyway, let me do. But see, Revelation talk about that fire. They talk about it in Matthew, you know, made for the devil. Revelation actually say the devil, the false prophet, and the beast. You know what I'm saying? But I think even in Matthew, they talk about the devil and his angels. That's what the fire was made for. But people who don't follow Christ, people who don't, but even in the face of consequences, don't want to repent, sad to say, are going to end up in that fate with that fate, F-A-T-E, as well, because it just proves that nothing is going to get them to repent. Not even consequence, not even plagues, not even any bad thing that happens as a result of sin is going to get some people to change, you know? And that's a sad thing. When we look at Israel, but it been kings, bro. Like the northern kingdom, it's like they don't care, bro. Like, bro, yet we have yet to see a situation where they try to repent, like even try. You know what I'm saying? And it usually starts with the leader. The leader usually say, all right, bro, we ain't doing this no more. But we don't see no movement of people trying. They just continuing to sink deeper and deeper in sin. And so that leads me to realize, bro, no matter if your family are Christian, no matter if you born and raised Christian, bro, you could get to a point where you on a slippery slope and you get entangled in a downward spiral. And no matter what come your way, sometimes you could be so deep in sin that you don't even want to repent. In this episode, we see how the Syrians meant to cause harm to Israel, but God turned it to good. He brought confusion to their camp, causing them to run away and leave all of their food and valuables behind. Thus, Israel was able to enjoy the spoils of war without having to go to battle. Israel and Syria have been warring for years now, but now that Syria has a new king, the worst is still yet to come. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.